Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Roll with the Brotherhood. Yeah, I always talk about stuff like that, boundaries and building an army and stuff like that. But it's something I can't overemphasize that one point enough. Because, there's several reasons to really just have a crew. And one of the biggest reasons is just being around like-minded people. Because I'm going to tell you what, be very careful of the company you keep. Y'all need to be on the same page to the greatest extent possible. See, a lot of times, like, for example, sometimes people, they're part of a crew. Or they not like the center of the crew, but like on the outskirts. And the crew might be into some stuff that you're not into, or going a certain direction. But an unfortunate thing with people, once they get a crew, they never think, okay, where's this crew going? See, one thing about a brotherhood, it actually expands your boundaries. It expands your power. And this is a secret that's known by several secret societies and brotherhoods that I've mentioned before. Everything from the Lakota Sioux, Ashanti men in Ghana, the Knights Templar, the Nazis, the Mossad, Samurai. Because one of the things that happens when you do roll with a brotherhood, they keep each other accountable. That's the one thing. You keep each other accountable. And then once you put your forces together, once you bring your resources, your power, your talents, you can actually expand whatever power you have. See, too many people have this, I don't just call it idiotic notion that they're going to succeed and go far on just their own efforts. And that's some bull. You can get to a certain extent if you got a low ceiling. You can be independent, have a job or something like that, or career, business, or something like that. You can get to a certain extent, but then you don't get as far because at some point you run up against a more organized crew, a more organized boundary. Now, as I've said when I've talked about this before, if you take an honest look at how the world is really run, boundaries of men, circles of men. When you have certain jobs, when you have groups like the Masons who have certain jobs, they can hook people up with jobs. Or I'll shout out Kevin Samuel because he was talking about the Kappas. He said, you can go in any city, get the hookup, or, get accommodated in one way or the other. And, there's several groups like that. It could be a group of hunters. You in that same circle, you go to another city, somebody a part of the network or something can at least, give you some ideas about stuff. But it's a very important thing. It's a power tool. Because when I see some guys, they're like, well, I did it by myself and everything. I've never seen that. I've never truly seen that because here's the thing. Even if you're not really public about it, you don't have the organized group or the brotherhood don't have to be some formal thing where you're doing a bunch of rituals or you have a code that you follow. It don't have to be that deep. It could be a group of friends who are just moving in the same direction. And I've actually seen that in business as well. You find out some people create businesses together or some type of network because the very nature of man is to create order anyway. And I know some people say, well, Rom, you've talked about this before. I'm going to keep talking about it because it's an important piece missing in anyone's empowerment plan. I'll put it like that. You get it because if a group, once you have a boundary, once you have a brotherhood, that brotherhood can move as one. All of a sudden, all the talent, all the persuasive ability, all the resources that one person might have is expanded. Now, as you develop this boundary, this brotherhood, it is very important that you're with like-minded people. It's very important because you can have some conflict because if you move in as a group, but one person wants to go over here, other person wants to go over here, or people going to get in arguments about who's supposed to be doing what. you don't get anything going. You can't even chill out. You can't even have a good bowling team that way. Keeps everybody on the same page. You can't, and sometimes the groups can be that simple. Because they don't always have to be on some like grabbing power thing, but y'all know, Rom tells on himself. Rom's about power. But it's not always about that. It's not always about that. It could just be, it could be the group that you hang out with just to have some peace. It could be the Brotherhood at a barbershop or something. Someplace you can just go and just build and, just talk trash, whatever you want to do. That can be just as important. Like in many communities, they may have like little social clubs just to get together. And that's important for men. That's important for men, especially with the boundaries, especially to build, especially to have a sense of us. That's very important because when you go through, people don't realize you have several hierarchies when you go along. There's, of course, that individualist hierarchy, but then there's that we. And then at the highest level, it's the all. But most people ain't getting to that highest level, so you want to get to that we. In fact, let me give y'all a little secret. If you want to build up like any type of movement, create a sense of we. Create a sense of we. Like if you're a person, you're saying, okay, I want to build a political movement. Create a sense of we. Create a boundary. And it's very important to understand that that's something that men create. Now I know some that, we on this space, we talk a lot about women, either getting them or avoiding them, whatever. But one thing, women by nature don't really build boundaries. They violate boundaries all the damn time. And I mean it like that. They violate boundaries because a woman's nature is to cross a boundary. Anyway, they're like butterflies, but it's a man who enforces it because when you get a city and you create, several, it could be several thousand men. They can actually bring order to like maybe a neighborhood, depending on their level of influence, a city, region, or whatever. In fact, if you go, probably, honestly, you can go in any city in America, and if you know where to look, how to look, you'll probably find out who actually controls that city, which boundary or which circle of men actually control it. It's usually never the politicians. I'm gonna just let that out. I would probably personally look at all the business people and how they socialize and figure out where they socialize at. Then I find a circle then. But it's very important to develop that like-minded people. Even if you start with one, start with yourself and then maybe one other person, and then gradually bring in other people into that circle. And then, it could be fun at first, just go out, hang out, go chase. It's like those crews that used to go to malls, maybe they still do, and, go get some women's numbers or something. It could be that simple, but you always want to keep going forward and forward and forward. And especially for men trying to build businesses and stuff. Like, one of the things I've always done, I've always had several different circles, really. And that's something else, too. You don't have to be limited to one circle, but several circles that include writers. You could say there's a circle that include YouTube content creators. Circles into some stuff I don't discuss publicly, But the thing is, you rolling with people, like-minded people who actually kind of really keep you accountable. They can actually keep you accountable. So it's something to think about. I just want to throw that out there because, when you talk about, if we're going to, like in this space, and we talk about the select manosphere, we got to talk about masculinity. And that's one very masculine thing to do is, one, first of all, create the boundary, but then join with like-minded people to create an even bigger boundary. And some astute people might see the end results of something like that. Kind of threw it out. But anyway, that's all I have for now. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and many blessings.